Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
When everything changed, I was in a training at work. It was a Friday, November 12th. Friday, November 2012. Everything was quiet except for the sound of the instructor's voice, and then 2 knocks, and the door opened. And it was my boss standing in the doorway, and he said, "I'm sorry for interrupting, but I need to speak to Kelly." So I get up, I'm walking towards the door, and he says, "You're going to want to grab your things." So I walk out into the hallway, and he says to me, "Your daughter's school has been trying to call you for about an hour, and they finally reached out to me because they need you to call. It sounds really important." And so I called the number he gave me, and it turns out it was the counselor's telephone number. And she says to me, "Mrs. White, we're going to need you to come down to the school because Abigail's been making threats." I instantly start responding, but only in my mind. Threats? Who is she threatening? She's a 2nd-degree black belt. She knows better than to threaten people. I called her sick into school this morning. She's not even there. That one pulled me right out of it. And I said, "Who's she threatening? She's not even in school. I called her in sick." To that I hear, "She's here. And she's making threats against herself." A friend was texting with her, and we coached the friend through getting her to come to school. And we're going to need you to come here. All I can think of is, this isn't real. So I get in my car. That's the last thing I remember. I don't remember leaving, get the drive from work to the school, but I'm there, and I'm ushered into the principal's office, and Abigail is there. And she doesn't look at me. She looks so ashamed and small and scared. And I sit down, and they tell me the story. Basically, Abigail had a plan to take her own life. She was going to take pain medication from a hip surgery that she had had the year before that was, left over just hanging out in the house. And to this day, when I think about that, I know it's more than a memory, right? I can physically feel it in my body. My chest tightens, my heart aches, my breath catches. All of the emotions are like right here all over again. The gratitude, the shame, the embarrassment, the fear, the overwhelm. We get all the information from the school. They tell us, "This is the emergency services that you need to go to." And she won't be allowed in school again until a psychiatrist has deemed her safe to be there. So off to emergency services we go, where we will find out what the treatment plan is and what our next steps are. And while we're there, we meet many people. Our first psychiatrist, who sits down and asks Abigail a lot of questions. She never looks at me during these questions until the last one. The last question was, "Abigail, why didn't you follow through with your plan?" And I watch as she mulls it over. And then she looks up at me and she says, "Every time I thought about writing the note that I had written in my head 1,000,000 times, I thought, no one will miss me. No one except my mom. Mom will be devastated. Mom will be broken." Man, was she right. I was devastated. She was sitting right in front of me, and I was still devastated. But oh boy, was she wrong. There were so many people that were going to miss her if that had happened. So we leave emergency services. We go over to the place, we drive to the place where the treatment is going to be happening, where she's going to be going back and forth for the next, we don't even know how long. And they take her for a tour. And so I decide, you know what, it's time to call my husband. So I step outside. And as I step outside, I hear the door lock, where my little girl is inside because she needs to be locked in there. One emotional blow after the other. I call my husband, and I have to tell him that his little girl had a plan to end her life. I hear his breath catch. We get home, and we're putting a mattress on the floor in her room because we're terrified to leave her alone, and she's afraid to be alone. My sister comes, brings me a lockbox, so every pill in the house can go in it, and we're locking it. But like most days, this day does too end, thankfully. For the next 5 years, we stumble through the dark as we try to navigate the mental health arena, and we try to keep all the balls up in the air without dropping them. And we just keep going like that in the dark. And I'm thinking, why is nothing changing? The end of 5 years, like this is so hard. Why is this so hard? And I realize nothing's changing because we've changed nothing. All we've done is add to an already busy plate, full plate. We've added doctors, psychiatrists, therapists, medication, but we've changed nothing. And so I'm sitting home thinking, how do we do this? See, I'm still looking at all of this as embarrassment. Like, I walk with mental illness too, and I'm still embarrassed. I'm afraid to say it. I'm still ashamed of myself, and I'm viewing it as a weakness. And since as a mother, I'm modeling behavior to my children, what is Abigail doing? What do you all think she's doing? The exact same thing. The first change came with acceptance. I walk with mental illness. I've always walked with mental illness. What does this say about me? Nothing, except for that I need to learn how to walk with mental illness. I first voiced this, that I have mental illness at work. I had a corporate job and I had been working for 14 years to climb the ladder. But I needed to work from home. I couldn't do that anymore. And we already had people working from home in our department spread across the country, so I really didn't think it was going to be that big of an ask, but it was. It took over a year for that accommodation to come through, and it was like having to prove a silent illness in that I wasn't taking advantage of the system. I eventually get that accommodation, and we start to change things. We learn that we need to talk. And I have to also acknowledge, without ego, which is very difficult, that yes, don't get me wrong, we walk with mental illness and we need the doctors and the psychiatrists and the medication, but that was by far our only issue. That was not our only issue. We had many. I was striving for perfection. Nothing less would matter. I was expecting perfection. See, our household and myself grew up in a family system where there was so much love, but there was also control, comparison, shame, guilt. All of those were used to steer me in the way that my family thought I should be going. My home was filled with so much love, but it was also filled with control, comparison, shame, guilt. I had brought that into my home for my girls. That's how my girls were raised. We learn how to talk. See, we're both in therapy, but we ended up going to joint therapy together eventually because we learned that we were learning who we were learning the emotions, we were learning to be able to look at the things we did without ego, but we had no idea how to talk to each other about it. So through group therapy, we started to learn how to do that. And then we decided, you know what, we're going to learn more about communication, and we became certified as a coach principal's teaching partner in conversation. And we started planning a podcast called The Mother-Daughter Journey because we wanted to put our story out there to help other people who were stumbling in the darkness, just like us, not feel so alone. Things were good. They were getting better. Our household was calm, peaceful. It was a place of solace, like it should be. Then everything changed again. My dad passed away. And it was in June of 2021. Christmas was coming, and I said to my family, again, I used my voice, I can't do Christmas the way we've done it always. I need to go away. It can't be that way. I wanted to just rent a house with all of us. It was 9 of us. Let's just rent a house and be together and support each other, but it can't be here in the living room where I watched him take his last breath. My sister did not want to do that. She didn't want to be in a house with all of us. I get it. Emotions run high. So we rented a hotel in Vermont, 3 hotel rooms. And on Christmas Day, all of us are in this room, the 9 of us. Emotions are high. The pile under the rug of the things that we keep sweeping is even higher. And something happens, words are said, and Abigail gets up and says, I'm done. Like the tears are in her eyes, and she leaves and she goes to her own hotel room. And I can remember sitting there thinking, even on this day without him, there's no acceptance for her. There's no acceptance for us. Words came out of my mouth that day, things that I was not prepared to communicate yet, things my family was definitely not ready to hear. It's been since December of 2021 since we've spoken, my sister and my mother. Again, a family filled with so much love, but we didn't know how to talk to each other, and it didn't come out that way on that day. Abigail and I kept moving forward. We launched the podcast. It's been going for 2 years, 2 seasons. We're about to launch season 3. And the feedback is, thank you so much. We didn't know where to start. We didn't know where to begin. We started coaching other mothers and daughters because we had learned how to talk. We had learned that there are conversations to have where ego can't be invited. We talked about with people the control, the guilt, the shame, the words, and how much they matter and how they can be taken. And we're making an impact. Like we are helping people with our mess. What little contact I did have with my mother and my sister were stop. Stop doing what you're doing. Stop sharing the dirty laundry, so to speak. We didn't. We kept going on. And what I've learned through all of this journey is everybody's doing the best that they can. Emotions are high. We don't know how to talk. And my mother and my sister are doing the best that they can. And so am I. And sometimes you just can't be in each other's world while you're trying to heal. And let me tell you, that healing began at that point. So here we are, 2025, and we're still moving forward. Our home is a happy home. The 4 of us, our core family, is solid. And we're able to step out and start doing things in the world because we don't have to focus on that core family so much anymore. And that's really what I want to leave you all with is the core family. Because I have a theory, actually Abigail and I both have a theory, that if we all concentrated on that core family, being open, being seen, no judgment, just allowing the words to flow and being careful with what they are, then the ripple that we make in the world will be nice and smooth. See, before, when we were fighting everything and we were hiding everything, the ripple that we were leaving when we plunged into the world was jagged ripples. We were spreading negative energy. And right now in our world, there's a lot of jagged ripples. We need smooth ripples. And our belief is that if you focus on doing what needs to be done for your core family so that you are in harmony and that you are supporting each other and loving each other and free to say whatever feeling you have, because emotions, they're not good or bad. They just are. And you have to feel them to heal them. And so in our family, we do not hide emotions. We're solid. And when we walk out into the world, our ripples are smooth. Both Abigail and I now are not teaching. I'm a classroom behavior specialist in a behavioral middle school classroom, and she has her RBT, and she is working with children who have autism also in middle school. And we are incorporating our communication skills that we have learned with them. We are teaching them that emotions are not good or bad, they just are. Mental illness or any of the things that they're going through, their past traumas, their behaviors, there's needs behind them. And you can feel them, heal them, learn how to communicate them, and then go out and spread your own ripples. So I want to leave you with one thought, maybe two. Because again, like I said, in this world today, there are so many jagged ripples, and everywhere you go, you're getting hit with negative emotions, and there's a lot of finger pointing. So here's my two thoughts. When you're pointing your finger, you have 3 more coming back at you. Look at you without ego, through an observational lens, and just do the work. Do what it needs to do. Do what you need to do to get your core family where it needs to go. And then second, I challenge us all to focus on making our homes, our core families, solid, harmonious, peaceful. Because when you do that, the ripple, when you jump in the water, is smooth. And then you can step out and make another ripple. And that ripple will be positive, and it'll be smooth, and you'll be helping people realize that they can create ripples. And then they can step out and make more ripples. And maybe in a world where people stop pointing fingers, stop spreading jagged ripples, we could have peace, love, harmony, a place we want children to grow up in. Thank you.